So, time for our daily devotional. Um, it's a little bit of a darker day here in Nova Scotia, and my eye is bothered by allergies. So that's all part of spring too, isn't it? I hope you're having a good day wherever you are. We do need the rain here, so it's not that I'm complaining. It's just part of the spring. I hope you're having a great day wherever you're at. We're looking in Proverbs chapter 5, verse 12 today. Proverbs chapter 5, verse 12. What we've been looking at in this chapter is the idea of staying true to your wife. So this chapter is written to a young man, encouraging him to stay true to his wife, and the value in that. But it's also a principle about life, about other things in life, not just that commitment, but other commitments we have in life. And so it's a very transferable set of truths. But that's how it's written. So we've been kind of looking at that a little bit today. This particular part of the chapter, the central verses, talk a lot about regrets and when we make a bad decision and how we end up regretting the bad decision. Of course, this is applying it to marriage, but once again, that's in a lot of things in life. We make bad decisions in life, and then we regret them, and it's terrible trying to live with regrets. Very awful thing. And so this just kind of deals with that, mourns about that, and how regret itself can be kind of like a warning to us that, hey, you don't want to live in regret, so make better choices. And so that's been kind of the theme as we've worked our way down through this part of this book of the Bible. So I'm going to read the verse, and we're just going to talk about one of those aspects of regret. So Proverbs chapter 5, verse 12 says, "And you say, how I have hated instruction, and my heart spurned reproof." So this is the guys. This is he's saying to him, later in your life, after you've made this bad decision and all the bad consequences come about, at the latter part of your life, you're going to say this, right? He says, and you will, at that point, you will say, "How I have hated instruction, and my heart spurned reproof." And this idea of regret, of, oh man, why didn't I? Why? It's almost like a poetic kind of way of saying, later in life, you're going to go, man, I should have known better. I should have known better. You made a choice, made a decision, but I should have known better than this. And that's the regret. And it's a terrible feeling when you feel like that. And you really don't have anyone else to blame. I mean, sometimes that's kind of the worst thing in the world, is not having someone to blame other than yourself. And you're like, oh, why did I do this? I should have known better. And that's kind of this idea of, later in life, you'll say, how I have hated instruction, right? I could have known. My heart spurned reproof. I could have been corrected, but I hate, what is it about denial, right? Like, we use this idea to help justify ourselves when we're feeling regret. We'll be like, well, sometimes we'll say, I should have known. Other times we'll say, well, I didn't know, as if that somehow makes it all okay. I didn't know. I didn't know this was going to turn out this way. But it doesn't totally work, because inside you do know. It's like, well, I should have known. I could have known. Right? I didn't have to go down this road. But sometimes we use that to try and help ourselves feel better, or even deeper. We can say, well, I couldn't have known. I could have known. I could have known this was going to happen. I couldn't have known that. I had a plan. I thought it was all going to go this way. And yeah, but that's not really quite the excuse we think it is. And we'll talk about that one when we do verse 13 next time. But no, you could have known. You could have actually known better. Now, there are some things in life that are beyond our knowing, of course, but these moral things, no, God has made a way for us to know. And the bad decisions we make, really, we can't blame someone else. We've got to own up to the fact. Why do we run from good advice, from really good counsel, and being shown a better way? Why do you think it is that we run from that? And we often refuse it. Especially when we're tempted to do something sometimes really big and bad. And it's like, we don't really want anyone to tell us that it's not good. We'll go to our friends. We'll have conversations with our friends, and, oh, I'm thinking about this and everything. And your friends can all feel uneasy because they might be wanting to say to you, nah, don't do it. That's a bad choice. And in order to keep peace in the friendship, often your friends will just say, "Oh yeah, no, you do what you want to do," and which is terrible advice, of course. But we do this. We're awkward about giving or receiving advice against the thing we're being tempted to do. We don't want it, or we don't want to give it because we're afraid the person will get mad at us for giving it. And why is that? Well, I think it's because we actually already do know. Some part of us inside already does know it's a bad choice, and we just don't want anybody to make us feel like it's a bad choice. We'd rather live in our denial, right? And it's no, no, it's okay. I can do this thing. And so we kind of reject anybody telling us otherwise because we don't want to have to make a good choice. We kind of want to make the bad choice because we've kind of bought the lie that this is going to feel great, it's going to be worth it. But then later, we'll be at that point later where we'll go, oh, I should have known better. Why did I do this? And then, because we see clearer after that. But that's what we do. And so we run away from good advice. We run away from instruction. We don't let anybody give us any instruction because we kind of know what they're going to say, honestly. And not always. Sometimes we're just really confused or whatever, but often that's the case. And so yeah. You see, the truth is sometimes often people would rather live with a lie than have to deal with the consequences of a truth. And that's kind of a big part of today's lesson. It's just that in our own lives, in your life, my life, we often can find ourselves in that place where it feels more comfortable to live with something that we kind of know isn't true. Because having to admit the thing that is true is just too painful or it's just too difficult. And what it will mean that I have to do is just too difficult. So we try to run away from it, right? It's like this in marriage. So, this chapter talks a lot about marriage. So it's like this in marriage, right? Sometimes we'd rather believe the lie that my marriage can't be fixed. We would rather believe that that's a true thing, even though it's not, rather than have to admit my marriage could be fixed if I was willing to put the work into fixing it, right? Because we don't want to put the work into fixing it. So it's easier feeling to live with the lie that, oh, this can't be fixed, right? Or another lie that often happens in marriages, right? It's easier sometimes for a person to believe, my marriage is having problems and it's all her fault. It's all because of her and all the way she is. If she was just different, as if, right? It's easier sometimes to live with that lie and justify yourself than it is to live with the truth that I'm contributing to the problems that are in my marriage. It's not just her fault. It's my fault as well. It's possible that it's all my fault, but at least it's probably part of my fault, at least. And so being able to admit that truth has a consequence, and we don't want it, so we run from it. We'd rather live with the lie. It makes us feel better. It makes us feel more justified. And other similar lies. The lie that if I have an affair with somebody, it won't really hurt anybody. When the truth is, it will hurt a lot of people. Or the lie of I just couldn't help myself. That's a lie, right? I just couldn't help myself. When the truth is, you could have helped yourself, and you should have helped yourself. You should have been more careful, or more discerning, or making better choices, have better self control. There's all these different lies, and there's a whole bunch of variants outside of marriage as well. It doesn't hurt anybody for me to do this, or what happens between me and so doesn't matter, or we convince ourselves of falsehoods because it's a lot easier than having to deal with the consequences of truth. But the thing is, falsehoods aren't true just because they're easier to emotionally deal with. And truth doesn't go away just because we don't want it. Their reality just simply is still there. We reject the good teaching in the instruction because of what it will require of us. So here's the thing. Here's how we'll end this off today. Facing the truth of anything, but in your marriage, facing the truth takes courage. And we'll just admit that right up front. It takes courage. It's a scary thing to have to face truth. And so when you're thinking about something and you're trying to decide what to do, and you maybe should get instruction, maybe you should get advice from others who have got a much more separated view from the problem. They're able to step back a bit, a little less biased. It takes courage to do that, to give someone permission to really tell you what they think rather than just tell you what you want them to tell you. It takes courage. It does. But you have enough courage. You can do it. You really can. One of the lies of the world is that I'm a coward. I can't do it. You can do it. It takes courage, but you can do it. Facing the truth requires action. That's a thing. It does require action. If you know the truth and you don't act on it, then you are much more culpable than if you didn't know the truth. So knowing the truth does increase your liability, so to speak. But you can do that too. You have the ability to take action. You really do. And there's other people that can help you, and God can help you. So don't let that stop you from facing the truth. You can do that. You can do what's required from the truth. God created the world in a way that you can do it. And then the last thing is just facing the truth sets you free, and that's a real fact as well. And that's something Satan doesn't want you to know, but Jesus told us is that when you know the truth, it sets you free. It makes your life better. Living with the lie, it ends up with regret, and you will someday say, "I should have known better." Right? But living with the truth enables you to make good actions that don't lead to regrets. So there's that. Anyway, God, please help us to do it. Help us to receive instruction, to really be able to receive instruction and face the truth. In Jesus' name. I am not going to be able to do my devotional tomorrow. Other work commitments that are just not adjustable, so I won't be able to do that. But I'll be back on Tuesday with verse 13. And so, in the meantime, have a great weekend. Remember the Lord's Day and spend some time with Him. I would encourage you to go to a church somewhere. So if you have a church family, be there. If you're in my area and you don't have a church family, come to Life Song. We'd love to see you. Anyways, have a great day, great weekend, and God bless.